Hello again. It is predicted on the basis of the number of crossings made so far this year that by the end of the year, over 85,000 people will have sailed across the English Channel to claim asylum in this country. That is 85,000 more people who would need houses and flats, 85,000 more people who will be using the National Health Service, 85,000 people whose food and accommodation will be paid for by the state using our taxes. Most of us can see the nature of the problem here and also have a pretty shrewd idea how to tackle it. What, for example, if we were as ruthless as the French in turning down claims for asylum and refusing to house failed asylum seekers, or allowing them to use the services in this country, such as our hospitals and so on? Does anybody think this might make a difference as to how attractive Britain would be as a destination for Albanian drifters and vagabonds? Might be worth a try? The difficulty is that although most of us can see very clearly that this is an idea which might be tried, there's no appetite for doing so in our government. They seem to regard the tens of thousands of asylum seekers who turn up here practically every day now as a natural event which they are wholly unable to control, let alone prevent. This is frankly a bit odd and makes me a little bit suspicious of the motives of our dear Prime Minister and his cronies. If other countries are able to control the numbers of people to whom they offer asylum, then why are we not able to do the same? Why is it that we are 3 times as likely to grant asylum to people as France? Is that why that they're reluctant to claim asylum in France, would prefer to hang on and nip across the channel until they can claim asylum here? The figures, of course, are very interesting. The acceptance rate for asylum claims in France is 25%. In Britain, it's 72%. So we're 3 times as likely to give them asylum. It wouldn't really make sense, would it, for a potential asylum seeker in Europe to make a claim in France rather than waiting until they get here? It would be quixotic of them to do so. It's especially interesting to look at Denmark in this context, by the way, which after some initial enthusiasm for becoming multicultural a few years ago, slammed on the brakes when they realised the awful effects which this was having on their country. For Denmark, the penny dropped when they began collating the crime statistics and seeing that immigrants and the children of immigrants were at the top of all the lists for things like murder and rape. In Britain, it can be very difficult to wade through the figures and see how many crimes are committed, for example, by the children of immigrants. In Denmark, they've been more open, and a few examples will show why they are so sceptical about the advantages of unrestricted immigration. Immigrants from outside Europe are almost 3 times as likely to commit murder and more than 4 times as likely to carry out rapes as ordinary Danish people. What is even more disturbing is that the children of such non-European immigrants are even more likely to be dangerous. It's not that being born in the country and growing up in the European country makes them more likely to adopt European habits. It's quite the opposite case. They grow up being more aggressive and murderous than their parents. So it is that second-generation immigrants are more than 8 times more likely to commit murder in Denmark. Children of immigrants, or immigrants actually, those that arrive in the country from outside Europe, are twice as likely to be convicted of assaults, but their children are more than 4 times as likely to assault people. It is very likely that the same situation exists in this country, but because the figures aren't properly recorded so that we can see this, we can't know for sure. However, many people believe that young people born in this country to Caribbean parents tend to be wilder and more aggressive and violent than those who are born in the West Indies. It may perhaps be a general trend. It can hardly be claimed that the British experiment with virtually unrestricted immigration from outside Europe has been an unalloyed success. Denmark, at least, has had the courage to face the situation squarely and weighs up the disadvantages and possible advantages of letting large numbers of people from Africa and Asia enter their country. And they've decided that on balance it's simply not worth the trouble.